National Nutrition Interviews, the natural health experts, up close and personal. You might know Dr. Gifford-Jones from his newspaper column, or from his latest book, What I Learned as a Medical Journalist. A frequent TV and radio guest, Dr. Gifford-Jones is also a dedicated philanthropist, giving back through the Gifford-Jones Professorship in Pain Control. Known all over the world as a passionate health advocate, Dr. Gifford-Jones has been a family physician, ship surgeon, and now product formulator of Medi-C Plus by Preferred Nutrition. He's also a National Nutrition Seminar speaker.
I'm Dr. Gifford-Jones. Well, I'm a graduate of the Harvard Medical School. Then I became a ship surgeon and a hotel doctor and a family doctor. I became a doctor basically because I thought it was an interesting profession, and I thought that of all the professions, it's the noblest of them all. I was always fascinated as a young boy. I lived across from the Greater Niagara General Hospital, and I was also always fascinated what went on in that hospital, particularly what went on in the operating room. And at one point, a couple of doctors said, would you like to go in, and they saw me sitting on the steps watching them, and said, would you like to go into our hospital and take a look at the operating room? I was, delighted. And after that, I decided I wanted to be a surgeon. I love my patients, first of all, and I like the idea that there are two kinds of doctors, the medical doctors and the surgical doctors, really. And the surgeons love to be operating and seeing quick results. And I think the great satisfaction I've had is to see a woman who, say, has a 30-pound ovarian cyst, and her only complaint was she couldn't get between the church pews. And to remove that cyst and see her abdomen become flat all at once in the following few weeks, going back to church and not having to have trouble getting between the pews. That sort of thing. I love the surgical end of it. What I learned as a medical journalist, I think if I had been a surgeon all my life, I would have a very narrow, myopic viewpoint of the practice of medicine and surgery. And being a medical journalist has allowed me to, I suppose, look at the forest as well as the trees, broaden my outlook tremendously. The fact that I've been able to interview all walks of life, from Linus Pauling to the discovery of the AIDS virus in Paris, interview the Queen's physician, for instance, it's broadened my outlook tremendously. Oh, the most common problem with the diet is that obesity, and people have no conceivable idea of the amount of calories they're taking, and it's causing an epidemic of not only obesity but of type 2 diabetes. When I was in the Harvard Medical School 64 years ago, 5% of diabetes was due to lifestyle or type 2 diabetes. Now that figure has jumped in that short period of time, really, from 5% to 95%. In other words, people are abusing their bodies with excessive calories, and not only developing type 2 diabetes, but they're developing the complications associated with it, namely heart attack, blindness, renal failure. The number one supplement it has to be, with me, vitamin C. Because years ago when I interviewed Linus Pauling, the one thing he told me initially was that animals have always made vitamin C and humans don't. And it was his feeling that because of that fact, we were having the epidemic of coronary artery and cardiovascular disease. The reason being that vitamin C is needed for the production of collagen, which is a necessary component that holds coronary cells and other cells together. And when you don't have enough vitamin C, you have inadequate collagen, and that's where a crack occurs between the coronary cells, and a blood clot occurs. So that story has always rang a bell with me. So I've always, for the last 16 years, taken high doses of vitamin C and lysine. I think in addition we should take vitamin D, which during 6 months of the year, I could stand outside really totally naked in the noonday sun and get absolutely no benefit from the sun, because it's coming in at a diagonal angle and doing you no benefit. Well, I'm here at National Nutrition today because if I'd been a surgeon all my life, I wouldn't be. But having as syndicated medical journalist now for 38 years, I've developed an interest in natural remedies, particularly vitamin C, and that has been my primary interest, that people are needlessly dying of coronary attacks. People believe that cholesterol-lowering drugs are the be-all and the end-all to treat cardiovascular disease. What I'm there for is to say, look, here's another opinion. It reminds me of the story of the man who had a terrible fight with his wife, and he literally called her every name in the book. And finally, before he left the house and slammed the door, he said, you know, in addition to all the bad things I've said about you, you've been a lousy, lousy lover for years and years. He slammed the door and left home. Then after being away for a couple of days, as men are wont to do, he got a little guilty feeling about it. So he said, I'm going to go home. I've been unduly difficult on my wife. So he arrived home early in the afternoon thinking his wife would be there, but no one was in the house. Lo and behold, he opened the door and found his wife in bed with another man. And he was totally shocked. But his wife wasn't shocked at all. She just looked up at him and said, darling, darling, I decided to get a second opinion. So I'm here tonight to give people a second opinion about how to treat coronary artery disease, namely with high doses of the vitamin C and lysine, which are cheap, they're effective, and they have no unintended consequences compared to cholesterol-lowering drugs. Well, I'll be discussing about a remedy called Medi-C. It's a high combination of vitamin C and lysine, and I take one of those scoops 3 times a day, breakfast, lunch, and the evening meal. So I'm taking a total of 6,000 milligrams of vitamin C a day and 3,900 milligrams of lysine. And that dosage you can not only prevent, but you can reverse atherosclerotic lesions in coronary arteries. Mind you, you're not only doing this in the coronary arteries. If you dissect the human body, there are 60,000 miles of blood vessels if they line them up end to end. That's twice around the world. So that you're not only getting the benefit of coronary arteries, you're getting the benefit of the other 60,000 arteries in your body, which is important. I think National Nutrition, the big job that you're doing, and it's an important job, you are selling health. The pharmacies, prescription drugs are not always selling health. Every year in North America, 100,000 people die from prescription drugs, and another 700,000 are seen in the emergency department of unintended consequences of these prescription drugs. So that was because about 6 or 8 months ago, I wrote a column stating, where are the dead bodies? Where are the dead bodies in health food stores? And the point is, there are no dead bodies in health food stores because I don't know of anyone who dies of a natural remedy. So although I've been a surgeon and practiced the mainstream medicine for years, I've incorporated natural remedies in my practice because why not try a natural remedy first, and which many of them work, and if it doesn't work, then go to prescription drugs, but always try a natural remedy first because they're safe and nobody's dying from them. My overall impression of National Nutrition is that you have a very friendly and educated staff.
They're always trying to meet their customers' needs. It's always at the forefront of what we're doing with the business, and it's amazing to see the amount of care that comes out of that.
And that's the important thing of all. You can have a wonderful health food store, but if your staff are not educated the way yours are, then you're missing half the equation. So I congratulate you on the way you train your staff.